Hello, welcome back to the podcast.
We had a week off.
We did actually. Yeah. Which I think is also a good reason why we're doing this topic today as well, because that's hard. Well, a lot of reasons why I took last week off.
Yep.
You were heading away on your
Yes.
holiday.
Well, yeah. Went away, sort of a holiday.
Yeah. We got Misa here as
Wandering around. Yeah.
mostly sun and mostly I don't know how well that works. Yeah, so today I feel like an interesting topic for us to talk about is male health. Not just mental but physical as well. I
Yeah.
think is a good thing to have a part of it.
It, I know it sounds like a dry topic, doesn't it? But it's a pretty important one.
Well, yeah.
Because it's. I think it stems from the fact that people, or men specifically, tend to be less inclined to look after themselves.
Yeah, because it has this culture of being weak if you are, let yourself be vulnerable.
Which I think stems from, years going back many years, and
Part of culture, wasn't it? Like,
yeah, it's a cultural thing, and then it's certainly our generation, our grandparents' generation, it was a stiff upper lip. You go to war, you don't talk about it.
Be a man about it.
Be a man, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are classic things, isn't it? And you run like a girl is derogatory, when really I saw a thing.
There's a lot more women that can run faster than me, I can tell you that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing an article thing about that was where they said, asked school kids, younger school kids, what does it mean to run like a girl? And one of the girls said, fast.
Yeah, like
strong.
this, like me.
Yeah, and then later, as they were a bit older, in sort of middle school, they asked what's run like a girl, so that cultural thing. So I think it's something to be careful of.
Because it is something that we teach our kids.
We do, yeah.
Yeah, it's not inherent.
No.
It's
cultural. It's a cultural thing, and I think we've got to be aware of it. And I think we are becoming more aware of it at the moment. We're certainly aware of mental health as post-traumatic stress and things that used to be called shell shock and was all these other names. But I think as we live longer, we get more vulnerable to things. Yeah, because we're probably never meant to live this long, but.
Well, yeah, like...
Should have been eaten by a lion before this.
Yeah, basically, because we don't... Like, our cultures haven't kept up with our evolution. No, vice versa. Our evolution hasn't kept up with our culture. Yeah.
So men's health, I think, has been a bit of an interesting issue because I know being in the health field is always a struggle to get men to go to see the doctor.
Yeah.
And, men's cancer and things would be quite prevalent. So, yeah. But
which is why they have, like, ads and stuff about it to try and, like, it is okay for guys to be vulnerable and talk about it. Like,
it is, but the problem is believing it, I think. Because it's easy for me to sit here and go, oh, it's easy to be vulnerable, but it's not.
No, it's not.
I find it hard. I mean,
I find it hard too.
I think I've been through circumstances where I would fall into that category perfectly. I've had to be tough, and I've had to,
be
not weak. Be a man about it. And
the problem is though that's something that won't turn off. It's like you feel like you have to be this through everywhere, and there are like areas in our modern culture. There's areas where it is hard to do, but I think it's a good thing to realise you can be vulnerable there.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there are places now where it's safe to say,
I'm feeling weak today.
I'm feeling I think though too, we are slowly wearing it away, and I think things like I used are you okay day? You said are you okay day? It's a great idea, and see stickers on the car of people.
It shouldn't be just a day though. It should
Well,
be.
it shouldn't be. It should
Honestly,
be all the time.
the problem with it is it shouldn't need to be a thing, right? You shouldn't need to be reminded, hey, make sure your mates are okay.
But I think we need to. We've got to overstep it to sort of get to that point.
Yeah.
But just coming back a second, that's the right thing to do, to be saying, are you okay? But the reality often is that people go, yeah, I'm okay. I don't need it. That's what I do. That's what I have done.
I have that too. Like, I'll talk to people and mates, and they're like, oh, yeah. I'm like, yeah, but
really,
are you?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just asking to have a conversation. I'm asking to actually make sure you're okay. To let, some people know it's okay to be vulnerable with me, with other situations.
Because this afternoon you asked me, and it was a genuine asking.
Yeah.
And I was a bit dismissive because I was playing a video game, but...
that probably
But she genuinely asked me, and I genuinely felt it was a concern. Like, you asked me about drinking.
Yeah.
And had I been... how was I going with that? And it's good to be able to do that, like to be able to ask.
Yeah.
Be comfortable about asking and comfortable about responding, especially if I was having difficulties or having problems, because I know now that it helps and it works.
Yeah.
Prior though, you don't. You want to protect yourself and you don't.
Well, it's not just protecting yourself too. I think it also comes down to like, I don't want to, bring anyone else down with my attitude type of thing, right? Like I don't want to, burden. People with my worries, that's me to deal with type of thing.
Yeah.
But I think that puts people in a dangerous mindset of like, if I only can deal with it, I can't tell anyone else about it type thing.
Mm.
And then it's like all just stuck within yourself and you're not getting any help.
No. And there's no social outlet. We are social animals and you don't have that ability and it just compiles and compiles and I think we see this in industries. We see it with men in farming, particularly is one industry because farming is, let's face it, I don't know if anyone's a farmer, but it's a tough industry.
Yeah,
it has its ups and downs and droughts and fires and disease and
it's not like a 9 to 5. It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle, and also it can be a very lonely lifestyle. It can be very isolating as well. So that sort of environment for men is, often fosters that stiff upper lip, I'll be right.
I've seen like
sunshine.
Like a YouTube short of like a medical person saying, oh, this farmer's come in to get some help because they're in pain. And like the doctor's like, what? The farmer never does that. Like there must be something. Did his wife send him in? It's like, no, he said he's feeling like a 9 or a 10 on pain. It's like, this is actually a dangerous...
It's an emergency.
Yeah, which it's... Like, I think it's a good thing to point out because it is hard for people in those situations to realise they can be vulnerable.
And it's okay to be vulnerable.
It is.
And to go, I guess some of the crossover is that there are people and have been seen going too far and being too over exploiting things sometimes, and you'll see that and you'll go, oh, I don't want to, I don't want to.
Yeah, okay. So the people who are like, oh, I'm really poor and money today. Oh, my missus is being really not missus, but more like my family's being rude, or like trying to gather sympathy as a way to manipulate people.
On Facebook, the classic, in hospital, sad face, or
just
really go there, I'll get a bandage on my finger. But people seeking attention for it, like there are people who would use it to seek attention, and I know for myself that you don't want to be like that.
I think. Like, that is a concern, because, like, I think sometimes I feel like that as well. Like, because I have, like, autism in my stream tags, and I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have that, never been properly diagnosed, yada, yada, yada. But,
you have, actually.
I wouldn't remember I don't remember.
Well, I remember, we got the paperwork, but anyway.
That's another issue. But, like, it's this whole thing of, like, I can't, like, admit it in case I'm taking it away from someone else who's experienced it worse.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't think should be a valid thing because you aren't that other person.
No, it is as it is for yourself and your difficulties. You can say within a spectrum, you're not comparing yourself to other people, and this is what the problem is. I know just from my own perspective is, other people can put up with that, as I've said before, I think on this, I've struggled with some really horrific circumstances, and I go, well, other people must put up with this. I don't know how. I don't think people have actually now as reality. But I mean, there are just traumas in your life where people would go, oh, I don't deserve.
I'll just brush it aside.
But it builds up. Like, I know that's a big thing that I would do, and I think a lot of people do. And they used to talk about, you got a problem and you're not dealing with it, and you put it in your gunny sack. You just put it in a big sack on your back, and eventually those problems will crush you, like they weigh you down. You're not dealing with them. And you're just pretending they're not there for whether it's you don't want to be vulnerable, whether you don't want to be seen as being a weak person. I was going to use one of those. I was going to say Nancy boy before, and I was like, I don't want to use that because I don't think it's derogatory. Yeah, it builds up and crushes you, and they're the sort of things I think people need to stop and have a little breather.
Yeah, it's like, because that's one of the things I like about this stream too. I like to help promote, because I will, it's probably obvious to you at home living with me, but even stream I think is kind of obvious. I will let people know when I'm like, you know what, I'm not great today. I've never really been so bad, but I think that's because I recognise my dunny sack's getting full. I'm like, you know what, let's lighten the load a bit. Let's talk about some of the things that's been eating away at me.
Yeah. And the strength of that gives you a really good mental health. It stops you. That's an excellent ability to be able to recognise it.
It's not easy,
it's not easy, and it's not easy for. And I'm not saying it's easy for women either, but we are talking about men's health. It's difficult as a masculine stereotype, figure fitting in culture. It is, you're still weighed upon with that. It's a long way from breaking that ability, and that's very admirable to do that. I mean, if I had been able to do that,
go on.
I was going to say, I've been able to do that some years ago, and I had been earlier on in my life able to deal with it, but later on,
you feel like you couldn't.
Well, I don't know. Looking back now, some of the things it's just hard to talk. How do you talk about? For me, and my mental health journey was with some of the difficulties that I experienced, some of the hard things that I dealt with. How do you talk about that? How do you go home into Australia and go, I've been held hostage at knife point.
Yeah.
By a maniac. And it's sounds like something out of a movie. It sounds like, and it just feels surreal. And so I don't say anything, and it sits there.
Do you think it feels surreal? So surreal, it's distant that you can put it away type of thing, or is it there's nothing you can do with it type?
I think for me, what happened was when I, for a period, the time I worked overseas. Not permanently, but when I did FIFO work, so I'd work a month in New Guinea and a month home.
Yep. And the type of work you did there was helicopter
search and rescue in the Central Highlands of New Guinea, which involved search and rescue for mostly because there's a lot of Westerners up there building pipelines and things, and hence why the money was there to put in a rescue service. And New Guinea is very mountainous. And it's pretty hard to do stuff without a helicopter. But because it's mountainous, a lot of aircraft have accidents, and also New Guinea being the sort of place it is quite violent, and there's a lot of violence and a lot of shootings and stabbings and things, and so I got involved with a lot of that. So I was in this environment, which is very foreign to you, flying in a helicopter into jungles in the steaming heat, dealing with horrific murders or difficult things, sometimes aircraft crashes, and then you'd be back on a plane, back to Australia, and you're down the street the next day. One day you're here doing this stuff, next day, literally within a day or two, down at Coles doing my groceries.
Yeah.
And your mind is like...
It's very jarring, because, in that area, you would have to have this mindset of, this type of awareness and, conscious of being there.
Yeah.
And then back here, it's not an easy thing to just turn off. It's like, okay, it's all over, it's all safe.
That's exactly right. And I'm operating on an adrenaline level sort of here.
Yeah.
And I'm hyper alert and hyper aware. And I come back, and I'm still like that. And I come back into, a country town in Australia, and I'm working on this level, and nothing. And I'm like, it's like a wound spring.
You got to put that, the adrenaline towards something.
And hence why, I probably used drugs and drank alcohol. That was probably a way of not knowing at the time what was happening. I wasn't aware.
That's why you were doing it.
And that's interesting, because I'm talking about myself, but as a guy, it wasn't about I wasn't aware of those things at the time. Had I been, would I ask for help? I don't know. I don't feel like I might. I don't feel like I would.
Do you think, because we have OK days and events to help bring awareness to those type of mental things, do you think that your work environment should have had, more people on hand to remind you, hey, you're in this situation, you're going back down to this situation, let us, let you know a safe way of going down without...
Absolutely. I think the places I worked for should have, and if I was working in Australia, I probably would have, maybe, or certainly had more chances of. But again, as a paramedic, I remember earlier on we did have a peer support system where we would, we'd have a horrific job, and the peer support guys would ring you up at home after hours and say, hey, g'day, how are you? How you doing?
Yeah. Are you okay?
Are you okay? And everybody, I can guarantee you,
would have
go,
I'm
okay, I'm alright. Whether they are or not. So that's the tricky part there.
Yeah, which...
Oh, I know it's the same.
That's the reason why I'm so... as weird as it is, I don't think it's as difficult for me to do, point out I'm not having a good day.
Yeah.
But the reason why I do it, and the reason why I do it to stream and people at work and stuff, is to help remind people that, set by example, basically.
It's a really good thing. And I think that, what you're doing yourself personally like that, demonstrating it's an example. This is how you can do it. I'm not okay. You ask, are you okay? And you can go, I feel I'm not today. I'm not good. And you don't have to have a reason. I don't know why. I'm just
you don't have to have a reason. And I think
able to do that.
I think the other thing is too, some people feel like, if I say, oh, I'm not okay, it's like, okay, let me figure out solutions. Let me do this, let me do that. And it's like, sometimes there is no solution. Sometimes you just have to be like, sorry, but I'm here for you type of thing. You're not okay, but you're not okay with others. You're not stuck by yourself.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of my fears as well, with expressing my feelings, is people try and fix them.
Yeah, which they can't be fixed. I do feel like I fall into this trap sometimes.
Yeah.
Where someone will be like, oh, I'm not feeling okay, and I'm like, someone at work, a customer will say, oh, this thing happened to me. I'm like, I can't do anything about that. I need to realise that. But I can still be, I'm sorry, but you're not alone. And
listening, engaging and listening and asking, questions about them, or engaging with them. That's something I've learned too, is when you talk to someone, to actually be present, to take a breath and go, I'm going to talk to you.
Not just have the conversation at at a computer screen. Yes, I'm okay. Tick this answer. This thing.
No, nice day, isn't it?
How's the weather? Yeah.
But genuinely engaging and asking, and and we as humans, and especially as guys, I don't think we do that awfully well. I think women tend to have a culture of doing it better. Like they tend to talk, and that's a natural. I don't know if it's a biological difference.
It's hard to say. I'm not a woman. I don't think you are either.
No,
but I do think they may be culturally able to more deal with it.
More social. I think women tend to be more social than men.
Not just that, but I also think it's more socially acceptable for women to not be okay all the time.
And it's interesting too that you'll see, and there's nothing wrong with it, but crying. I know, women have a tendency to be able to cry. Now, and I don't. I know I have cried. But
I can cry too,
but not necessarily something that I do, and it's not that I hold it back or
it's more like
I don't know.
It's like, for me, when I don't cry in situations where I feel like there is cry there, it's more a muscle that I've exercised to hold back as a way.
Oh
yeah. There are moments on stream. I think at the end of my 12-hour stream, I was getting emotional because, I was really proud of the community and everything, and I did shed a tear. I'm so glad for the blurry camera; it wasn't as obvious.
See, there you go. This is interesting, isn't it? You're a bit ashamed. I don't know if you're ashamed of it, but
I know I shouldn't be ashamed, but there is this thing of
you can't cry.
Yeah, and I want to help change that. Again, it's not just I'll just start crying out and life's sad. But it's a practice thing that
you're right. You've got to delve into it and explore what and when you feel like that, to go, geez, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay to cry. I guess one of the things I do is, and I think I still do it because it's probably ingrained into me, is when I have difficult or grieving circumstances, is I have a process to go through first. Like I'll do my job, and then later on I deal with it. And I don't know if you've heard of I think it's Kubler-Ross's 7 stages of grief.
Yeah,
you go through. It doesn't matter which order, but you go through bargaining, anger, acceptance at one point.
Yeah, I've seen TV shows basically gloss over it in some regard.
And it's interesting that you do go through. You have to. That could be done in 5 years. You may never do them all, but to cope with grief, you do go through this process.
It's one of those things you just can't avoid. Yeah. Or if you avoid it, you're just delaying it. It's not avoiding.
And if you avoid it, you're doing that very thing I'm saying. It's not good for your mental health. It's
you're just putting it in the back to feel it later.
Feel later, and not ignoring it. So, and again, that's something maybe we need to learn to do better.
Yeah. The whole reason why we're having this discussion too, like one of my work colleagues, someone I've seen at work, is also trying to help raise this whole mental health for males through playing footies and that, because I think social clubs, especially sporting clubs, have, it's hard for me to say. I don't do much sporting. I've done hockey once and maybe footy in high school, but I've heard stories you all go there and you're all big tough bloke man, so but I think it's a good idea to make those places, those group of guys, it's okay to be vulnerable there.
Yes.
You're not you're all the same type of person.
Well, you've certainly got the same interest, but you've all got guys all playing a sport.
Yeah.
And I think that also that closeness or that vulnerability you're talking about in regards to sport is really an important part of a team. You'll find that if you care for if they're more than just friends, if you care for each other, then you'll find that your teams work better together, gel better together. The problems are sorted quicker.
If you're not just there playing the role of a man,
Yeah.
And you're there to, be a part of the group.
If you're a skillful footballer, and you genuinely, you care for your mates. You're not, egotistical about it, and you care for each other. You then share that skill.
Yeah, I've heard stories of some people trying to open up to their mates. It's like, me and Missus split up, and it's been real hard. And some people don't know what to do with that.
Yep.
Which, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this today, one of the reasons why I'm really glad he wrote that news article, and even just bringing that awareness within those social football club groups, is it helps the people who aren't, who have nothing to be overly stressed about or struggling about, to know how to understand and respond to those type of people.
Yeah.
Which...
And to, I think, just to go, oh, geez, genuinely empathy and listen.
Yeah.
Is not necessarily the answer, but it's a good start.
Yeah.
And that article was quite good because it did address, I think, other issues that you don't see, when you're not part of the club. So if you're, for example, if you're injured and you can't play the game, still being part of that group is important. There's a lot,
Well, it just, because we are social people, even if we have social anxiety, that we still want to be with others. And I do think those type of areas, not just sporting groups, but D&D groups, just gaming with your mates, those type of environments can really help one's personal mental health.
Yeah.
I think if you're stuck in a room playing your games by yourself, every day, when you start struggling, and even if you want to, go out and ask for help, it's not as apparent as where it could be. Which...
And that also has a danger of being self-feeding as well, when you don't have other people to help, or, you isolate yourself, and those ideas and thoughts and things generate and become all-consuming.
Yeah, and it feels like I'm echoing this a lot, but it is... it's okay to ask people if they're okay, and it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other part of it too. It's okay to say, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I think, the big one. And I think genuinely, people, a good way of doing it for guys, especially guys, anybody really, is to go, as you've done yourself, how am I feeling? And I feel a bit down.
Yeah.
And don't try and understand it, because a big thing I do is I feel angry or I feel upset or something, and why am I doing this? What is it?
What's wrong with it? What's wrong with me? What can I do to fix it quickly?
Oh, this person has done this. If they were only like this.
Or even if it's it's me, if only I was like this.
Yeah.
Which...
And just to go, that's okay.
Yeah. Just to go, I feel like fucking shit.
That's okay.
Leaving it at that, going, you know what, bad mood, not feeling well.
Other people aren't responsible for my feelings. Don't put it on them. I'm okay. Take a breath. Yeah.
And still, I do think, still let, your trustees know. People who, are out there looking out for you.
I also thinking along these lines is the fact that guys will often not seek help when there is something wrong, not mentally but physically as well.
Yeah.
So
have to be a man, don't you?
Yeah, you got to, as you saw with the farmer, you got to man up. I've seen guys drive themselves to the hospital with half a leg because they cut off with a chainsaw. Don't ask for help. They could have called an ambulance, but no, I don't want to bother you. That sort of attitude, or I don't want to be a bother, which is that's another one you get to.
Yeah.
And cancer, especially
I think
prostate cancer
yeah.
is a big one in men that can be. It's very easily diagnosed. You don't even need the finger up the bum anymore. You go and blood test, and they look for markers in your blood. So it's really simple. So
Yeah, but
any
like,
guys listening, go get your blood.
Yeah, check your hands.
Don't stick your finger up your bum anymore. But you go get a blood test. Just regularly. It doesn't matter. Especially,
even if you're healthy, like it's a good idea to take some time off. You being a part of society and go, okay, do I need to look after myself?
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes people are like, oh, I'm fine, I'm always fine. Oh, how are you? Oh, yeah, no, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
But it's like you don't realise until you sometimes just take a moment, like put everything away and just like really reflect, like, am I fine? Like, is
truly sitting down.
Not just mentally, but physically as well. Like, is my shoulder hurting a bit, or because like
it probably doesn't hurt to even have regular appointments to go and see a doctor. Just
the older you are, the more you should have.
Yeah. I mean, I do, but that's because I've also got ongoing mental health issues and medications and things that I go and see the doctor about every month or two. Just to make sure
which is good. You're able to do that.
Yeah, but that gets everything else covered as well. It covers my prostate, covers cancer and other things that I might have. So
I've had issues where people at work is like, oh, my shoulder hurt yesterday. I don't feel it today, so let me just quickly do all this stuff to try and, I don't know, to help others, to prove that I'm not a waste of time type thing. And that's an awkward situation to put yourself in, because you have to go, like, realise when enough's enough.
Yeah.
And I think I've gotten good at this over the ages. I'm not sure if it's something I picked up at the timber mill, where it's like I could feel myself getting stressed out, but just kept trying to push through it to the point where I go, like, now that I've stepped back, I can go, okay, I'm not okay in this situation. I'm okay mentally at the moment, but physically I'm hurting. And like, I'm at the point where, I picked up a bunch of extra shifts the last few days, and I'm like, look, I could work as hard as I have been the last 3-4 days, but I know that would just cause more pain, and then I'll have to...
And then you'll be longer, and then it ends up with that catch. Yeah, if you don't let... It's like my knee at the moment, since we had our little disaster with the trailer.
So what happened to your knee? Is it okay?
I don't know, because... So this is an interesting thing. Because my mind is doing other things, and I was busy thinking about, because for days we got a camper trailer and the wheel stud sheared off.
I'm pretty sure I put the photo in Discord IRL chat.
Okay, so...
It looked really bad.
Oh, mate.
You were saying your knee?
I'll get around to it in a minute.
Yeah, okay. Don't be too tired.
I was trying to think. I better not tread on that.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's pretty bad.
It is, yeah, go on.
So I don't know what I did. Long story short, but obviously there's lots of things going on, and I hurt my knee.
Yeah, like there are situations, because I've had situations in the timber mill where, because I bumped my head, I needed 6 stitches there.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, I think I've had another head mark. They were pretty obvious, because like you could see blood on your face pretty quickly. I had a situation once where I think my finger got caught in something, like wood just ramming through, not a saw. I'm not that dumb. But like, I'm like, oh shit, that hurts, but I'm busy doing other things. I'm changing sizes and all that. Like, oh, it's smoker time. Oh, there's blood there. I probably should do something about it. And I think it's a lot like this with mental health too, where when you're in the depths of things, it's really hard to notice what's there until you do take that step back of going...
You're too close to the forest to see the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah. While you're in it. With your fingers and things like that, there's the biological thing is that you have 2 types of pain response. One is a fast pain response, which is the first stingy bit. You go, geez, that hurt. But the second one is one that really hurts. That's the slow pain fiber. So often when I cut myself, I go, damn it, and I'll pick all the things off. Like I cut my finger down here, and I had to pull my ring off, and it was all fast, flesh and juice everywhere. But I did it because I knew it was going to hurt later. But yeah, you're right. That's a good analogy of mental health as well.
It's funny how physical health and mental health have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like they are important parts of one's health. Yeah.
And should be addressed as so, and people should take a breather and
what would you think are some of the good solutions to avoiding, not seeing the trees as it were, or knowing not only when to seek out help, but where to seek it out from?
I think probably different for everyone, but I think being aware of it first of all, and doing. I know we talk about mindfulness a lot, but if you got that ability to step back for a moment, was always a good thing. But
Did you want to describe mindfulness a bit for people who don't know what it is?
So there's different kinds, but basically what mindfulness is an ability of recognizing your thinking or recognizing that you're having thoughts, not engaging with the thoughts, not.
It's a form of meditation.
Meditation helps it. So I'll sit down and I'll do meditation. Sometimes I'll do it by myself, where I'll think about my breathing, concentrate on my breathing, and when a thought comes in, you practice by going. A thought comes in, you go, oh, I'm there. I'm thinking that thought, and you let it go, and you come back to your breathing. What that enables you to do is go, oh, I'm having I'm having a thought, and I feel bad. Oh, then you can stop and go, oh, I feel bad, and just thinking and just give it a label and go, okay.
Yeah, you can.
I feel bad.
You can recognise it as it's coming in, basically, not just.
It's a practice, but it's a really important thing. It's a really good practice.
It is a practice thing too.
And there's a lot of resources online, so if people are interested in having a go at it. And the good thing about mindfulness too is you can't get it. You can't. People go, "Well, I'm not very good at it." Well, you can't not be good at it, because as soon as you have a thought and you recognise your thought, you won.
You've done it. It is, because I talk to other people about doing mindfulness a lot too. Laughing Man, a streamer friend of mine from high school, he also does mindfulness stuff at the end of his streams.
Oh yeah.
He usually does. He's one of those gamers who has to win at everything, so he gets pretty invested and. You can see the emotions building up, and I think that type of way of ending his streams is really good, because it does kind of reset your mind. You're not just having them spinning in your head constantly. You grab them out and say, okay, that's that thing, let's pull that away.
So the other interesting thing you said is how do you, sometimes I reckon, I know my psychiatrists and psychologists will talk about red flags. So if you're aware, and sometimes the awareness is the hard part, but if people are saying things to you, if you find yourself doing things that are antisocial, find yourself drinking too much, find yourself addicted, gambling, if there's anything that's too excessive or too compulsive.
If you're doing something for the sake of doing it, as a way of avoiding something.
Avoidance, yeah. If you're avoiding. That's another red flag. So these sorts of things, if extreme events it doesn't mean they're always a tag to mental health issues.
It's not worth looking into.
But it could be. So that's how I would I would start looking at how much those things that are extreme or
how much money you spend on Genshin, how much alcohol you consume in a night, and just. Staying inside, I could go for a walk today if I'm not feeling up for it type of thing. If you keep doing that, it kind of snowballs into...
It can. And I think that's what what they call red flags for me anyway, those little bits and pieces that I do, that I persistently do. Like every day I do meditation, every night, I take my medication, I brush my teeth and...
you do the routines.
I have these things, and I know that if I don't want to do them, or if I start not doing them, then I'll start to go, hang on, what's going on? Why am I feeling that way?
Yeah.
Anyway, every person is different, but it's a really good place to start, I think. And I think the second part of your question was, where do you seek help? And I think trust someone you trust.
Yeah.
It's the big starting point. But you can also go to a GP.
A general practitioner.
Doctor, yeah.
A doctor.
They're well versed and well trained in it now. And it's even a mild thing. They're not.
So they're trained in it? Because I've heard stories in the past where, you know, someone's like, oh, I'm not feeling good today, you know, and it's like, oh, you're just sad, go home type thing.
Yeah. Okay, so that is a point that some doctors may not, you know, they're just people, so sometimes they make mistakes and may not pick up on it.
Sometimes they're just there as the job.
Yeah. And I guess there's also, though, there's a lot of resources online that you can reach out to. You know, your lifelines,
Yep.
your I can't think what, there's heaps of others
Yeah.
as well, Beyond Blue, that you can actually just contact these people and they can talk you through or give you resources.
I also think a lot of modern jobs, so like I can't say for McDonald's, but I could say for like, you know, supermarket positions, I'm pretty sure they've got some things set up. My ex had like when she was working at Woolies, had like Woolies would basically fund set therapy sessions for her and stuff.
I know BWS that you're working with has that set up as well, and they have apps available, and you know, and that's the other thing too. You know, there are apps that are really good for this sort of thing as well.
Like I think I think companies are starting to realise that if you look after the mental health of your workforce, you have a lot better workforce than someone who you just abusing that. I can't imagine Amazon having much things like that. I think their wellfulness is like a room where has a toilet, which is pretty good for Amazon, which is a pretty low bar to reach. But
you're right. I think there is value in looking after your people, and they will look after the company.
Yeah. I also think being physical is also a good way to help mental health as well.
Yeah,
even if it's just going outside for a walk.
Yeah,
because it's one of those things. It helps you, gives you a routine that is good for you.
It is, and it's been proven. We know this. There's been many papers and done on it. It's been scientifically demonstrated that going out for a walk, doing exercise, is massively beneficial to your mental health.
Yeah,
and your diet too. Like, you know, I'm not a
dietitian.
No, nor am I. But I certainly don't eat. I eat fairly well. I don't think we eat terribly. But,
I'd probably eat a little bit worse, to be honest. But like again, it's one of those things. If you're aware of it, you can help shape it.
And you can do small changes. I think too. Like I think this is the thing that people think. Oh shit! Well, I've got to become a vegetarian. No, you can just go. Well, I'm going to then. You know, seeing as I don't eat fruit, I might try have an apple.
Yeah, have an apple a day.
Just
keeps the mental health healthy. It's also like one of those things too that you can't just snap fix things. So if you are feeling unwell, you can't just go, alright, I'll go for a week vegan, I'll go to the gym all the time. That's a quick way to give up and then...
it sets you up to fail.
Yeah, and if you set up yourself for failure, then it's like, I've tried it before, but it didn't work.
No, that's why diets don't work. They don't. You know, people will lose weight and then they will struggle to keep it off.
Yeah.
You've got to change your mentality and your lifestyle, and you don't do that straight away. You do it over small pieces.
Just like, you know,
eating
a little bit less or something, or maybe eating something a little healthy once a week type thing. I think a lot of diets are like, you know, you have to do this every day and you get like one cheat day or something, but I don't do diets, I can't tell.
No.
But like, it's this, and I think a lot of things, like some like diet programs and that is basically almost wanting you to fail. It's like, hey, we're selling you an easy way out.
That's a good point.
And that easy way out is not really an easy way out. It's an easy way for them to basically pry off your desire of something.
Well, I guess.
But it's not giving you the tools to do it yourself.
There's an app called Eat Right Now, which is very good. The guy who did it is a neuro researcher into addiction.
Okay.
And he has a program that he uses for people to give up smoking and drugs and all sorts of things, but he uses it for diet. And it's basically, it just runs you through being mindful of what you eat.
Yeah.
Like, don't give in to the screaming craving, that screaming child in your head. But if you do, don't kick yourself about it.
Yeah.
You've done it, but you just try, you do it next time.
It comes down, so this is the other thing I like to promote too, is like, it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be better off for failure. You lose more if you don't try anything at all.
Yeah. I think
you're better off to try something and fail than not to try.
And then you learn, and you learn a lesson.
Yeah.
And then you just keep going. It's not really a failure, and it's just or a step back or anything. I think it's more of just the process that you go through.
It's a understanding,
like changing your diet, changing your health. It's if this doesn't work or you think it doesn't work, it's still part of it. You just keep going.
And it's part of that slow progress thing of like you can't just start being a vegan. It's like you have to do that little try. You'll take a step back, take 3 steps forward, take 2 steps back, take 3 steps forward.
It's a consumer society mentality, which is why gastric banding and all these whiz bang type of. I'm not saying gastric banding is probably has saved a lot of people, but
what's that?
Sorry, it's where they surgically put a band around your stomach.
So you
can't eat as much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it does say in this world, it does save quite a few people from obesity.
But some people think that as the solution.
Yeah.
When it's more like a. It's not. What would it be?
I guess it is a band-aid measure because it's saving you from being massively large, but you're still going to be eat unhealthily. You're still going to have that same mindset.
Yeah.
You're going to have to change that mindset, and
it's a part of the mental and the physical, isn't it?
If you give if your gastric banding works, if you give it time to also reduce your weight, but gives you time to also mentally get into that frame of mind.
The healthy frame of
mind. But I'm not sure if that's always how it happens.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it to be honest to really say either way, but it is like all these things are linked up, like your mental and physical, like your how you eat and how you like socialize. They all like are part of this group of how you can be healthy.
Yeah, it's all part of the same spectrum.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No.
I think we've been very vague on a lot of things. We've had a few people pop in chat. I think a lot of people are... I'm a boxing coach and we run mental health workshops.
Oh, see, how good is that?
Yeah. So, like, those are the things. Many young, angry people... Yeah. That's the thing. Like, especially when you're a teenager, you have a lot of fucking hormones and shit going through you. But having an outlet where you can safely not only learn about yourself physically and mentally, but learn, it's okay.
Boxing is a fantastic sport for I think, like your discipline, your mental health. I mean, a lot of martial arts are really good for you. Like, and
it's not just about learning how to punch someone or something. It's about
no.
It's about learning
there's a whole lot of things. It's the discipline of it, but and it's really good for your mental health. And I think that I know here in Renmark they have a boxing club here for young people.
Yeah,
and I think it's really good. Yeah.
And that's what I like about like this the bloke we'll talk about in the newspaper, how he's helping promote, these young footy people to look after their mental health as well. Because these type of environments are really good at helping, especially the young people. And this comes back to what we were saying from the start. It's like, this is all because our fathers' told us to man up.
Yeah.
And we're slowly realising that we don't, we can be vulnerable. And
We need to.
It's hard for us to do. Like, hard for us to, like, cry and truly show how we feel some days.
But to recognise that it is hard to do is a start anyway.
Yeah. And I think especially these places really will help, you know, the next generation to do it better, and they will teach the other generation.
And that's what we hope for.
We're making these steps. Like, I'm pretty impressed with how society has been able to put mental health as in like a real problem that isn't just like, you know, people are being too emotional or something. Yeah. Like it's emotional is human.
Oh yeah. It's taken time. Yeah. Any other questions? No?
Chat. Any other things you want to talk about mental health? I was going to have a mental health channel in my Discord.
Oh yeah.
So people can talk about things that are they struggling with any said day and stuff. I haven't got around to doing that. I will at some point.
There you go.
I'm just lazy. That's my excuse.
I think you've got a fair bit on your plate.
Well, yeah, like I do try and keep this as a hobby, but that's why I really like not only about streaming, but you guys, the community as a whole, is like we really are looking out for each other.
Yeah, that's right. That's where it's good.
I'm really proud of you guys.
And it's a good thing to have that, like that you can do that in this day and age. We don't have to, because we live in a remote. Well, it's not remote, but it's.
Well, that is an issue too, because there are a remote community. Because I remember hearing on like radios and that where, you know, I like again today it's more aware that these remote communities do struggle with mental health.
Yeah, and they have. That's right, and it's great to have the ability to come together in places with technology now, and that's a great advantage we have.
Yeah.
All good.
Well, thank you for telling us about your experiences and
that's
helping people. Hopefully, you guys have learnt something more from this.
And if anyone ever wants to ask questions of me, that's fine.
And if you guys do have questions for Mostly Dad, let me know in the Discord. You are in my Discord, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. I won't tell you your Discord name just in case. But
oh no.
In case people want to know about, you know, how you've dealt with stuff in the past.
I mean, it's interesting stories and they're difficult, but that's part of who I am, so that's all it is.
Alright. I love you, Dad.
I love you too.
Alright.
Love you too, son.
Thanks for watching and listening.
Cheers.
Until next time. I think we might try and do something funny or fun next time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Maybe the infamous chore podcast.
Chores you hate to do.
Chores you hate to do.
We could do, I don't know.
Anyway, if you guys have a suggestion, again, Discord, that's where I pay pretty close attention to the Discord. So if you do have any suggestions, or, because this does go up on YouTube, leave a comment on the YouTube video on what you think.
Comment down there.
Yeah, if they're watching. Yeah, alright.
Alright, cool beans. See ya. Thanks, mate.
Until next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.